For me, is a starting point because I go to a lot of conferences, and the academics and the professionals and the professors and so on, they like to use the words hard to reach communities. I despise, I hate, I loathe the term.
I'm with you.
I say to them straight away, excuse me, who are you referring to? And they will say the black people, the African people, the Caribbean people, the Asian people. And then I immediately turn around and say to them, well, are they on Mars, Jupiter, in the rainforest, in the jungle, in the Himalayas? We all make up the community. And this is part of the structural racism, where you're not actually going out. If Muhammad can't come to the mountain, you must go to Muhammad.
When I was diagnosed with diabetes, I just wanted the earth to open up and swallow me up, because on top of having high blood pressure, having another long-term conditions was the bits. And I knew that the inequalities in terms of healthcare in the NHS for patients with diabetes wasn't good. And for me, it'd be even worse, because the little knowledge is a thing. And I remember going to the first outpatients appointment for diabetes. I was in the loo, and outside the toilet, within the ladies' toilet, was a discussion about how much the patients stank and smelt.
Yeah. I've got this black glove on for a swollen hand. They call it lymphedema when you've got damage to your glands. And I eventually went on to BBC East Midlands and actually spoke about it just before a colleague who was a plastic surgeon, Dr. Georgia Oni, did the first Let's Talk About Black Women and Breast Cancer. Just to say, look how long I've been in this career raising awareness about lack of black wigs, lack of, black prosthesis.
Yes, it's true.
We have them all in our breast institute. We have a Caribbean person who does the bra shop and everything. She put them actually into the treatment rooms, and yet nearly every time I was given a white prosthesis.
When I was pre-teen, it was probably a seamless experience. It was an amazing experience. I guess like the nurses that I worked with, us when we were younger, you always had your parents as well that were allowed to be with you, but I think the transition almost immediately from 17 to 18, or even this, like as soon as you go into the adult ward, was probably one of the most scary and most, I don't even know how to put it, but it was a very scary time, and a crazy transition for me, because I'd gone from so much care to kind of almost feeling neglected to some point at sometimes.
And so when they left, and I washed my hands, I washed my face, I even thought of washing under my arms, because I was very much wanting them to treat me like a good person. And I felt if they saw me as a person that stunk and smelt, I'd be treated badly. And I didn't know who they were talking about, but I took it on board as myself. And I became very quiet, very timid, did everything they wanted me to do, got weighed and all that sort of thing. And I just know that everything the doctor said to me was like, I know you people. And he said, you people. And I just thought, this is so bad. This is so bad. You people. And then I just sort of said, well, will I be on this for life? You know, I'm newly diagnosed, my first appointment, and he's talking about you people like this. I heard in the toilets that you stink, you smell. And the whole business about being a black person, a black patient, even with a little knowledge, was just the worst. It was the longest appointment. I seemed to be waiting forever. Every judgment I was making was based on the colour of my skin and how much that appointment would mean for me. And I thought, this is for the long term. I don't think I want to be diabetic. I don't think I want to be here. I don't think I want to. And I wasn't really listening to what the doctor was saying, because already, you people, he's saying you people. So, you know, how can I trust him? How can I appreciate what he's saying to me as a patient?
We have them all in our breast institute. We have a Caribbean person who does the bra shop and everything. She put them actually into the treatment rooms, and yet nearly every time I was given a white prosthesis. I did the bra training with the nurses and had to point out I was one of the models. I've got a lacy bra on. If you put a white one in there,
It's obvious.
and I'm changing, it's really obvious. And say to the young physio, when I said I wanted a black, I'm not even bothered about, because it's difficult to get the matching skin tone completely, even though you have the colours. For some reason mine doesn't usually match with makeup and whatever. I have to mix it. But I said I want a black one. And she says, well, we only do that one. I said, no, you don't. You know, people have been doing this for years. You have catalogues for them. And she says, well, that's all we do. And she showed me the packet and said, well, perhaps you could get in contact with them, but you'll have to pay for it.
Because I'm black, or being black sometimes, and being a man as well, nurses and professionals can sometimes look at you as, oh, he can handle the pain, or he looks all right. So I feel like as I got older and I was going to these places, I was noticing that I was maybe waiting a little bit longer than some people. I know there's a limit on the wait time. So I remember those times, I think I waited in the chair for nearly 4 to 6 hours before I got given a bed, and then the bed I got given was just like, oh, all right, we'll give you a bed kind of situation. So it's been interesting. I've had amazing nurses as well. I would definitely commend some of the NHS nurses. Most of them, and most of the time when it has been amazing, has been a black person, someone of African Caribbean society, and I guess that's just because they understand sickle cell on a different level. I think with the NHS sometimes you just go there and they know what sickle cell is. They just think that, oh, well, they're all right, they're not dying basically, when in actual fact you never can know, like you never can tell. Do you know what I'm saying? Like from a chest infection, anything can kind of happen. So I think as service user or someone who's got sickle cell, I always do my best to not go to hospital. That's the truth. Like if I can have a crisis or sort out my crisis before I get to hospital, that's always my aim, because I'm not sure who I might encounter when I go to hospital, or what kind of service I might encounter when I go into the NHS, and that's the only bad situation about it, I guess, essentially, yeah.
There should be much more collaboration and partnership with community, because community is doing a lot of work, but I don't think the NHS knows, understands, acknowledges and appreciates what's actually happening. Community, we are healing ourselves. We are holding up some of the NHS. So the projects that they come under the social prescribing model, there are lots of black community organizations delivering that service, not necessarily getting the funding that's attached to social prescribing, but delivering the service. And there ought to be some acknowledgement of that. There ought to be some kind of diversification of the funding, where the funding goes, and within the clinical commissioning groups, an understanding that some of the services that are being delivered in community is actually propping up what they should be delivering. I'm not saying they ought, because the NHS should not deliver all the services. They cannot practically deliver all the services, but an understanding that this is what is happening in community and some of the funding being diverted there.